usual. Representative Paul Ryan needed to gut a previous bill that has passed the House and Senate and then insert Obama trade into it. It's actually a very similar process to how Obamacare passed the House. Paul Ryan argued that TPA would allow people to see what is in the TPP legislation 60 days before it would be sent to a yes or no vote, essentially nullifying Congress. You see, it's like playing Russian roulette with our founding principles as they will be transferred to a supranational corporocratic world government via the now rampant corporate structure of Congress. The extremely unpopular TPA bill, as viewed by the American people, now heads back to the Senate, where it will likely pass next week, according to Mitch McConnell. Why are people so upset? NAFTA went into effect January 1st, 1994. In its 20-year history, NAFTA eliminated at least 1 million U.S. jobs. A cancerous trade deficit between Mexico and Canada grew to $181 billion. Income inequality grew to new heights, and corporations benefited $360 million as NAFTA compromised domestic public interest policies. In 2000, President Bill Clinton argued that allowing China into the World Trade Organization would support hundreds of thousands of U.S. jobs, and that our economy would grow as a result. After China came into the WTO, the U.S. trade deficit with China increased to $240 billion and eliminated 3.2 million U.S. jobs. KORUS, KORUS, the Korea Free Trade Agreement, signed in 2012, saw $1 billion of U.S. exports going to Korea. However, the imports increased to $13 billion, increasing the trade deficit by $12 billion and killing 75,000 U.S. jobs in the process. Obama is claiming he will need the re-engineered TAA bill to pass in the House to sign the fast track into effect. But we've all heard this one before, and after being lied to by this president more times than I can count, Obama will likely sign the TAA, or not.
If all that comes to the president's desk is trade promotion authority without that additional assistance for displaced workers, would he veto that bill?
Well, if there is a strategy that is put in place that only allows TPA to pass, that's a strategy that the president won't support. That's significant because...
But I'm not asking what strategies first. I'm asking whether he would veto a bill. Would he veto trade promotion authority?
And what I'm trying to convey is that I don't think it's going to come to that. It won't come to that. And the reason that it won't come to that is that the strategy that the president will back is a strategy that will provide a clear path for both TPA and TAA to come to his desk.
Coincidentally, all eyes are on the overnight church shooting tragedy in Charleston, South Carolina, which had a clear effect on the mood in the House as they somberly cast their votes, while the TPA quietly makes its way to Obama's desk.
It doesn't happen
It's not true.
in other places with this kind of frequency.
Nope, not with guns, but with baseball bats and knives, higher.
And it is in our power to do something about it.
England has 3 times the violent crime rate of the U.S.
I say that recognizing the politics in this town foreclose a lot of those avenues right now. But it'd be wrong for us not to acknowledge it.
Within hours of it happening,
And at some
9
point,
dead.
it's going to
The
be important
president
for the
is out
American
addressing
people
it to hype it.
come to grips with it.
Yeah, come to grips. With you giving weapons to Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria and Egypt to kill hundreds of thousands.
President Obama is weeks away from getting down to the business of supranational warfare, dismantling our country in the name of Wall Street, expanded pollution, telecom monopolies, and pharmaceutical companies. Plain and simple, after last week's brief victory, we are once again teetering on the precipice of allowing a corrupt, bought and paid for House and Senate to toss our rights, prosperity, and Constitution into the dustbin of history. John Bound for INFOWARS.com.
Now that Jeb Bush and Donald Trump have officially announced that they will each be running for president in 2016, I wonder what the Republican primary would look like if it were held today. Well, if you watch Fox News, it might look something like this. There's Jeb right out of the starting gate at the front of the line, followed by Carson, Huckabee, Rubio, Walker, and the rest. A total of 10 candidates shown there. Again, this is from Fox News. But I noticed someone is missing. I mean, where the hell is Rand Paul? The source of the poll clearly indicates Rand Paul in the polling and even features Rand in the official headline. And here it is, 5 leaders in the 2016 Republican White House race. Quinnipiac University National Poll finds Rubio, Paul are only Republicans even close to Clinton. However, according to Fox News, Rand Paul didn't even register enough to be included in their graphic. And this wasn't an accident. I mean, they did the same thing in a poll that they conducted themselves last month to see which candidates matched up best against Hillary Clinton. Rand Paul wasn't included in that poll either. Here's another Fox News graphic from an NBC Wall Street Journal poll. And you see once again Jeb Bush up there on top. But wait a minute, look at the poll numbers. Rand Paul, 44%. They stuck him there at the bottom, even though he outperformed the rest. I mean, he won, yet they threw him there at the bottom. So Fox News up to their old tricks again, and this is some serious deja vu because remember, it wasn't that long ago when they pulled the same dirty tricks on Ron Paul, my president.
We're looking at Mitt Romney, who continues to be the front runner, but we have Rick Perry as well, and now Michelle Bachmann. Let's not count out John Huntsman, though.
Yeah, live right next to the bus behind us, Ron Paul is speaking, and 7 of the candidates are here today. We have live pictures of Ron Paul, but you know what? We're talking about Sarah Palin, we're talking about Rick Perry, the 2 people not in the race yet, Drew.
And guess what, Paul? If you get video of Sarah Palin or get a soundbite from her, bring that back to us. You can hold the Ron Paul stuff.
We have a top tier. It is Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann.
We have a new top tier, and it's Perry, Mitt Romney, and Bachmann.
There's now a top tier in this race, at least for now, of Romney, Perry, and Bachmann.
I mean, I think that's fair to say.
Really fair to say? You're not forgetting, I don't know, anyone, say an ideologically consistent 12-term congressman who came within less than 200 votes of winning the straw poll? Isn't anyone going to give that gentleman a little love?
There's a top tier now of Bachmann and Perry and Romney, and, you know, we haven't mentioned, and we should.
Thank you.
We haven't mentioned, and we should, Rick Santorum, who did really surprisingly well for the amount of money and resources he had.
Rick Santorum? He didn't get half of what Ron Paul got.
Well, you see there, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now it's Rand Paul who's experiencing the media blackout. And it's not just Fox News. I mean, it's the other networks as well. And, you know, what's the big deal? Why Rand Paul? Why the media blackout? Well, for starters, it's the 28 pages. Rand Paul has joined the fight to get the federal government to release the missing 28 pages of the official 9/11 Commission report. And that was blocked and kept secret by the Bush administration. And that's because they know full well that the documents will prove once and for all that the Saudi Arabian government was directly involved in the attacks on September 11th. So very embarrassing, not to mention treasonous by George Bush and Dick Cheney, who are both implicated here in a massive cover-up. And remember, it was George W. Bush himself, the hypocrite, who had this to say about anyone harboring terrorists.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Oh, is that right, Georgie? It's going to be like that, huh? You're either with us or you are with the terrorist. Well, you're the one, George W., who vacations with the Saudi royal family. And you're also the one who used to vacation with the bin Laden family. And you're also going to find yourself in prison if these documents ever see the light of day.
This is sort of shocking when you read it. As I read it, and we all had our own experience, I had to stop every couple pages and just sort of absorb and try to rearrange my understanding of history for the past 13 years and the years leading up to that. It challenges you to rethink everything. And so I think the whole country needs to go through that.
That's right. These brave gentlemen have seen the 28 pages and they want the documents released. You heard Representative Thomas Massey say right there that it will challenge you to rethink everything. Whatever is in those documents is going to change world history.
I want those documents declassified. I'm embarrassed to be associated with a work product that is secret.
But wait, there's more. Former Senator Bob Graham, who also co-chaired the joint Senate-House investigation into the September 11th attacks, he says, I am convinced that there was a direct line between at least some of the terrorists who carried out the September 11th attacks and the government of Saudi Arabia. He called it a smoking gun. And he went on to say, the reason for this cover-up goes right up to the White House. Meanwhile, here's what they are saying in the New York Post. The Saudis deny any role in 9/11, but the CIA in one memo reportedly found incontrovertible evidence that Saudi government officials, not just wealthy Saudi hardliners, but high-level diplomats and intelligence officers employed by the kingdom, helped the hijackers both financially and logistically. And if the Saudi government did indeed help finance and train the hijackers, well, that, my friends, that is an act of war. And I'm so glad to see the truth finally beginning to surface. Senator Rand Paul has just introduced legislation called the Transparency for the Families of 9/11 Act. And that would force the Obama administration to release the 28 pages.
Over a decade ago, a bipartisan congressional committee investigated the 9/11 attacks and wrote a report. 28 pages from that report have never been released to the public. We're here today to call for a release of those 28 pages. The survivors, civilian heroes, and families of the victims of September 11 terrorist attacks, some of whom are here today, deserve the full truth.
We cannot let page after page of blanked out documents be obscured behind a veil, leaving these families to wonder if there is additional information surrounding these horrible acts.
So there you have it. Rand Paul thinks that we all have the right and that the 9/11 victims' families have the right to see what's in those documents, no matter how embarrassing or how incriminating it might be to George W. Bush. So what do you say there, W? Why don't you let us see what's in those 28 pages? After all, you've got nothing to hide, right? I mean, either you are with us or you're with the terrorist.